Let's talk about Palantir. You've probably heard the name. It's a powerful and, yeah, a very secretive software company. And right now, it's at the heart of a huge global debate, one about technology, surveillance, and power. So today, we're going to break down what our source material has to say about it. To really get what's going on here, our source frames this in a pretty stark way. It's not just a tech issue. No, this quote sets the stage for everything else. It suggests we're talking about an entirely new kind of conflict.
So think about the traditional battlefields, right? Land, sea, air, space, even cyberspace. Well, the argument here is that there's a new one, a sixth domain of warfare, the human mind itself. Cognition. The very way we think is now seen as a battlefield to be won.
Okay, so if we're talking about a new battlefield, what's the weapon? What's the main tool of the trade here? Well, according to our source, it all comes down to how Palantir deals with one thing: data.
At its absolute core, what Palantir does and what it's a master of is something called data integration. Imagine you have 100 different jigsaw puzzles all mixed up. Palantir's job is to take all those scattered pieces from countless separate databases and somehow merge them into one single searchable picture.
And how do they do this? Well, it's through a process called ETL, which stands for Extract, Transform, and Load. It sounds technical, but it's pretty straightforward. First, you extract all the data from all those different places. Then you transform it, cleaning it up and putting it into one standard format. And finally, you load it into one giant central database where it can all be analyzed together.
You know, this whole intelligence gathering thing, it's not an accident. It's baked right into the company's DNA. It was founded right after 9/11, and its early seed money came from In-Q-Tel, which is literally the CIA's venture capital firm. Even the name, Palantir, comes from the all-seeing stones in The Lord of the Rings. That kind of tells you everything you need to know about its mission.
So you can think of Palantir as having two different faces. On one hand, you've got Gotham. That's the one for government, military, and police, the intelligence gathering side. And on the other hand, there's Foundry, which is for big corporate clients, helping them analyze everything from supply chains to how we shop. But here's the key. According to the source, it's all built on the very same core technology.
Okay, this is where things get really interesting. According to our source, the technology didn't just stay a passive analysis tool. It evolved. It allegedly took a critical turn from just predicting what might happen to actively trying to influence what does happen.
So what changed? Well, the source claims that when they started plugging in newer forms of AI, the large language models we hear about all the time, the game completely changed. The system could supposedly go beyond just finding patterns in data. It could start building psychological profiles to understand you personally, your fears, your desires, your sensitivities.
And what this creates is this incredibly powerful, self-improving cycle, a feedback loop. The system can micro-target you with specific information, then it measures how you react, your behavior, and then it feeds that reaction right back into the AI so it can get even better at manipulating you the next time.
Now, to give you a sense of just how powerful this kind of tech could be, the source points to a separate claim made about Google. One professor alleged that by using similar kinds of feedback loops, the company was able to shift as many as 6 million votes in a U.S. presidential election. It's a staggering number.
All right, so let's move from the theoretical to the practical. Where is this technology actually being used? This is where the source alleges it crosses the line from a simple tool to a weapon.
So where has this incredibly powerful software actually been deployed, according to the discussion we're looking at? Well, the source points to some really high-stakes examples all over the world. They claim that Dutch police secretly bought it to fight crime, that U.S. immigration uses it to track people, that it's being used to support military operations in Ukraine, and that it's allegedly the brain behind an automated targeting system in the Middle East. And that last one, the system called Lavender, is pretty intense. The speakers in our source claim it was created because human analysts just couldn't identify targets fast enough. So, they allege, the AI was put to work generating target recommendations, essentially to keep pace with the available supply of munitions.
So, all of this really brings us to the big, fundamental question that the source material grapples with. When you have a technology this powerful, is it just a tool, is it a weapon, or is it something else entirely?
You've heard this argument a million times, right? For any technology, the defense is, hey, it's just a tool. A hammer can build a house, or it can be used as a weapon. The morality is all in the hands of the user. But the discussion here really asks, is that defense good enough anymore?
Because what happens when you introduce AI, especially in what they call a low discretion environment, which is basically a situation where a human doesn't really check the AI's work. If the system itself is making the call, who's truly responsible? The person who pushed the button, the programmer who wrote the code, the system itself? The lines get really, really blurry.
And here's the kicker. The argument is that this isn't just about some shadowy figures in a secret room. We are all part of this system. We feed it with our data every single day. We might even be funding it through our pension plans without knowing. We're all participants, even to our silence.
So, this all leads to the final, ultimate choice. And the source uses a perfect analogy to frame it, one you'll definitely recognize. It's the choice from The Matrix, the blue pill or the red pill. And that leaves us right here with this incredibly provocative final thought. In a world where AI can build a reality for us that's maybe better, more efficient, more perfect than the real thing, what do you choose? Do you choose that perfectly managed, comfortable, AI-driven reality, or do you choose the messy, unpredictable, sometimes painful, but authentic experience of being human? That's the question we're left with.